Interesting, interesting. All right.
We have other panelists joining us.
Yes, there should be one more panelist. Uh, let me just check with my team. Give me one moment.
Okay, take your time.
All right, Peter, I think we can begin because it's 8 and we will not be able to wait further. So we are recording this session. The idea is that after the session is recorded, we'll give you the full video and we'll also dissect the entire video into small 3 minutes, 4 minutes video snippets, we call them. We'll send you all the snippets as well. I'm going to be asking a question, you will be answering it, and the one snippet, the question and answer will come to you. Will also go on YouTube, LinkedIn, and various channels and help you promote your business and help us serve our purpose. And our purpose is to make people understand what you are doing, what mistakes did you make, what did you learn in the last 1 year, how your business is doing. If you can share your secret sauce, what is working for you, what is not working for you in your business, that will be really helpful. That's our purpose, to make people understand from your experience, because people can use your learning, people can use what you are doing and what mistakes you did and what is good, what is bad in your business, and they can use it and perhaps do better in these times when everything is unpredictable. So yeah, is that okay?
Yes, are there live audiences watching? Are people logged into the meeting, or is this just between you and I recorded?
You and I got it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Good morning, Peter. Thank you so much for coming over and sharing your time with us. I would really appreciate if this discussion is very candid, and I would request you to share your views and share your learnings and share your experiences in the last 1 year and also previous to that. So I would first request you to kind of introduce yourself. Tell us what you do and what is your why. Why are you doing what you are doing?
Sure. So thank you. My name is Peter Litsky. I'm with Army Navy Outdoors. I'm the founder. We were established about 30 years ago and became digital in a strong sense over the last 5 years. We've existed digital for, I believe, around 10 or so, if not longer. And to answer the question of why, I think I'll answer it in two parts. So why is because I actually love it and I enjoy it. What we do is sell military equipment, survival gear, medical, and outdoor gear and equipment to consumers, to police departments, the government, and everybody. And we love what we do. We love using it and being outdoors. So we enjoy the products, and I think that's key for anybody, is really having that kind of level of interest. I don't think I could do anything else as far as selling that I wasn't passionate about. And that comes with the technology. So I went from brick and mortar for almost 30 years. I had brick and mortar stores. I transitioned to fully digital after that was the master plan. And I truly love the technology space. There's so many things you can do. There's so many ways you can be creative and analytical at the same time. So it makes makes it enjoyable.
Wonderful, excellent. So, who started this business? Did you start the business, or somebody else in your family?
I started the business on my end, and before that, my father had some brick and mortar stores, and that's where I learned. And then we built a few stores together. I built a store on my own, and then I went digital.
Excellent. So, how many stores you got in the US?
Right now, there's only 2 brick and mortars left, and there's the warehouse in Texas and the digital platform.
So,
So
what platform do you use?
right now, we're on BigCommerce. I shouldn't
BigCommerce.
say right now, but we are on BigCommerce. We always have been on BigCommerce.
Why BigCommerce?
So people ask me that all the time, and they ask me for my advice. And other than the fact that I have looked at all the major platforms, I chose one just because at the time, that's the features that I liked. And I don't think you can really say that one is better than the other as long as it fits your needs, whether that need is integrating with your POS and your current technology that you're using in your brick and mortar, or what you're doing, or it's just friendlier and more user friendly to you, and it has the features that you need for growth. So I don't think there's a wrong choice as long as you're staying with the top few in the market. But I do think it's critical that once you make a choice, you understand that number one, you're staying there, because it could be catastrophic if you move platforms. And number two, that you don't buy or start a platform that is just for now, that you start one that you can see growing with the features over the next 10 years, because you don't want to ever have to leave.
Interesting. Are you also selling on Amazon?
No, I was for a short time. We are selling on eBay, and we're ramping that up. I think Amazon is great, and I think people should do it. I don't think they're where we want to be, as far as we want to own and control our data. We want to have our customers. We want to build our loyalty. My position on Amazon is, look, they're the great gorilla, and you should be with them, and they're going to drive at once revenue. But I don't know that the shoppers on Amazon are loyal to that unless you're manufacturing, it's your brand. They're not loyal to buying from you, and you don't own your data. And data is really the biggest aspect of digital and marketing.
Very interesting. So, what you're suggesting to our viewers, that if you really want to have control on your data, and you want to make your customers, your loyal customers, you want to know their journey, you want to know who they are, it is best that you bring them on your site rather than selling on Amazon. Uh, One thing, so over the last 1 year, Peter, we have been doing a lot of webinars, almost 100 plus webinars we have done. And a few things I've learned. Um, Somebody said in the webinar that they sell on webinar only. Let's say somebody was selling shampoos and skincare products. They were selling only shampoos on webinar on Amazon. And if somebody is buying shampoos on Amazon, they would go and check on their website, on their own personal website, the D2C website, let's say, or which was on Shopify. There had a lot many products, and then people would go to Amazon, and then will eventually come to their own website, which has a lot many products. So the teaser was on Amazon. Sometimes clients are not able to find you by doing Google search, but they can find you on Amazon easily, because if somebody is going to Amazon, they have the intention to buy, and with that intention, if they find in Amazon, they can look at Army Navy Outdoors, and they can come to your site and become your loyal customer in that sense. Do you advocate that? What do you think about it?
I do. I think it's a great marketing tool. And I think you have to look at Amazon in one or two ways. It's if you're selling an item like a shampoo, a commodity item, you're making low margin. They can handle the logistics. Advertising is inexpensive, and it's a great tool to then capture that customer. And same thing as eBay. Now, and just what you said, but to understand your customer and bring them back in, then what are you going to do with that after it? If you're just solely on Amazon and you're only marketing on Amazon, you can't build that residual business, which eventually brings your ad costs down and grows your business for the long term. Because let's face it, at the end of the day, Amazon could turn you off, which they do routinely for, you know, whatever multiple of reasons. Somebody else could come in and out advertise you or lower price, and you could lose your entire business if you don't have control over it. So I think it's when you're looking at selling and marketing and retail, let's just look at retail. You have a brick and mortar as one channel. Your website is another channel. Amazon is a channel. eBay is a channel. Maybe Walmart Marketplace is a channel. And all of these channels collectively make up your business. I don't know that you want to survive on just one.
So you said you're ramping up your business on eBay, but you're not so keen on Amazon. What's the reason?
On eBay, so one of the things is Amazon will market their own products as hard as they market yours. I don't think as far as a viewer or somebody looking for an answer as to why not to be on Amazon, I don't think there's a good one. I think they should, as long as they also develop their own customers. I think for me, it's just a choice that we want to control our brand. We want to control our platform more. We want to control our reviews. So there's many times if you see a product, especially in my industry, because I deal with military surplus, if I build a listing and it's my product and somebody else can come in and then sell on my same listing, and they ship a inferior or poor quality product because I'm not manufacturing it, and it's not a brand, for me, it's military surplus. So you're buying a backpack. And if they don't have the same quality controls, now all of a sudden that page gets a poor review. And if you notice on Amazon, it's the product that gets the review, then the seller gets to review.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Where on eBay, it's your product, you're the seller. You have the complete control.
Do you also get the customer information on eBay?
Once we ship the item, we do. And we get the customer phone number and we get all of their information, because we have to serve that customer and we have to ship them and we have to be able to communicate with them.
But in case of Amazon, you don't even get that.
You don't get that. You get their address and then you get their name, but that's it.
Address and name, not their phone number and email ID.
I don't know. I really don't pay a whole lot of attention. And I think Amazon's not out of our future. I just think it's not for me right now.
Excellent. So in your business, it's a flourishing business for the last 30 years, Peter. In your business, where do you spend most of your time?
As far as doing what?
Yes.
So most of my time is spent on product, on the website, on analyzing the pages to see what needs stronger SEO, what our marketing looks like on a larger and a more of a granular level, running. So from the day-to-day operations, I would say that's what I'm looking at. And product acquisition. So we drive our business through new products. So I'm constantly looking for that.
So do you guys develop new products yourself, or do some R&D? How do you, or do you outsource that work to somebody? How does it work?
We do it all in-house. So we either do it by looking at trends and looking at new brands, what can be different. I shop the market, especially in our business. It's different every single day. So I can go back to the same market source every day and there's always new products, because it is military surplus or government contracts. So what wasn't there yesterday could be there tomorrow. And so it's real, true retail buying from that standpoint. And then I look at categories and I'll want to expand the category. So then I'll shop the market and manufacturers, or we'll create our own brand.
Interesting. So your father started the business and you started the business together almost. You did some stores together. It's been 30 years in the business. Do you believe in the philosophy of putting the business on autopilot? Should your business be running without Peter?
Yes, it has to.
What are you doing about it?
So it's interesting. So I was on a sabbatical for about 3 days and I was out of touch for all electronics. I was in the middle of doing,
Sabbatical of 3 days.
it was only 3 days. So a long weekend, you can call it, but I was out of touch. And I'll do that routinely where you can't even call me on a cell phone.
Interesting.
So it's a good eye-opening to what cannot be done without you. So, and luckily there was only a very small handful of things that I was easily able to shift and train somebody else to do. And I believe that in order to grow your business, there's a couple of things. You have to be able, it has to run without you. I don't like the word autopilot because that means that you're really not paying attention. So I hesitate to say that. But it has to run without you. It has to be scalable. And it has to allow you to do what you do as a founder or as a CEO or marketing, whatever you take on as your job, uninterrupted. If you're answering phone calls, if you're answering emails all day long, if you're doing the minutia, then you're working in the business and not on the business, so to speak. And I've been in that trap, and anybody in a brick and mortar store understands that trap. And it's hard to get out of.
Yes, excellent. How big is your team, Peter?
Very small. We're only a team of about probably 6 or 7, maybe.
So is that so you're keeping your team very lean? Is that by design or by default?
By design. So I do a couple of things. Number one, I've learned that instead of hiring just a bunch of people, I'd rather hire and take my time and train better quality people so I can have less and their performance is higher. And it's more expensive to have turnover and retrain than it is to seek better people. That's number one. And you can also survive the ebbs and flows. If I had 20 or 30 people and we had a couple of down months, who's absorbing that cost? Or what are you going to do about it? So that's one. And two is that when you build systems, you build them for growth. And you build them, and I always build a system and look at our operations as an 80% rule. So we always want to run at 80% capacity in our systems. Our team can run at 110 at any given moment. So if we have a very busy week, very busy time, they're not stressed at running 110%. Our systems are built for that. Our people are in place for that, but they're busy at 80%. And that way, because I expect to grow to 100%. And if I don't build, and if I see this as a failure a lot, that they build a system for their here and now, and then they wind up outpacing their system and stumbling, making mistakes, having poor customer service, or whatever it is very quickly. And they're always scrambling to catch up. And it stresses your team. If that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. Now, there's one Peter in your company and with a lot of passion. How do you ensure that your team members also carry the same Peter passion?
That comes from the top down. It comes from checking, right? It does. So it comes from the personalities you hire. I would always, even in the brick and mortars, I would hire a server from a restaurant before I hired a professional salesperson for the floor, if they had the right personality. I always hired by personality, ability, and ability to learn. I didn't hire for their current ability because you're going to outpace that anyway. And so to answer your question more directly, if I bring passion in and I'm routinely checking in and understanding that my staff is an asset, not a liability. And I'm always making sure that what we do brings them into the fold, then they can have the same. We have routine conversations about wanting their opinion. And because we're a small group, it's here's our problem. This is an option for a solution. What does everybody think? I go to them frequently. I get them involved. What do you see as a problem with doing your daily job, and how do we fix it? And they'll usually have solutions, or at least questions. And working remotely, especially the way we do now, I chose to hire customer service all within driving distance of our warehouse. So that way they all come in 1 day a week on a rotating basis, so that they touch and feel the merchandise. And more importantly to me, they feel a part of the team. So they're not just sitting at a home office all day and their only interaction is a Zoom call. And I think that drives that passion.
Interesting. So you spoke about having the right personality and somebody who should have the right mindset to understand what you're doing, what your vision is. Now, when it's the right personality, what do you look for in the candidate before you hire them? When it's a personality, let's say you might also look for some values, some capabilities, some abilities, some attitude. Uh, what do you look for in a candidate before you hire them?
All of that, they have to have what you think jives with what you're doing, right? They have to, I look for either do they have a passion for the items and the activities that we sell our merchandise for? Are they ex-military? Do they hike and backpack? Do they have experience so that way when they're talking to customers or working with the merchandise, they're not bored? Do they have an outgoing personality, or does their job not require it? And I need somebody that drills down more into the details. I don't think it's really, I think you have to look at the job and say, what personality does this task or this job require? And then focus in on that instead of focusing in and starting from there.
Excellent. Uh, Peter, you also mentioned a few minutes back that in your day-to-day activity, you are also looking into a lot of data and your website. So, what data do you look for? What are your decision-making data points?
So our dashboard is very clean, and it's different than it was in brick and mortar. So we look at, from a financial perspective, I'm always looking at our CPC, cost per click. I'm looking at our traffic. I'm looking at our number one thing that I look at is our conversion rate. And because if our conversion rate is higher and our traffic is lower, and vice versa, obviously, if our traffic is high and our conversion rate is low, all those things interact. So that's the conversion rate, number one, the ROI on our ad spend, because that's separate than your global conversion rate. And you have to really differentiate the two. And I'm constantly looking at our traffic to see if our ad is working.
So, what's your ROAS?
We're using, so we are, the number specifically?
Yeah, for example, let's say if you're spending $100 on Google ads or Facebook ads, what your
Right,
X
our
factor?
ROAS, right now we're at about 4.5.
That's actually very good.
Yeah, our goal is 5. In poor times, and we worked up to this. When we started, we were hovering around the low 3s. We're under 3, and I think that for every business, you need to decide where is your profit point. So we know that anything that is below a 2.5, we're losing money on. So that's the minimum. If we're going to if we decide that we want to work on a product or a category and it's 2.5, at least we're not losing money. And then anything above 3, we're profitable, and our goal is 5, because I think that's really where it should be.
Yes. So what works best for you? Google ads or Facebook or Instagram? What channel
Google
works
Ads.
best? Google Ads.
Google Ads 100%, and shopping specifically. So we'll supplement shopping with ad impressions, but we'll focus our budget mostly on shopping.
Are you guys funded or still bootstrapped?
Well, we fund ourselves. We're internally funded. We're cash positive. So I don't know if you would call that bootstrap or not, but we're in a comfortable place.
Yes. So what I basically mean is I'm looking for some aggressive growth in different markets and not just US, and looking for some funding. Is that a part of the plan?
Yes. Well, there's always an exit. You asked me earlier, do you run your business, or is it important to run your business without you? And coming from a brick and mortar retail business that I built from scratch, it was always a life mission. I would have this business forever. I would retire with this business and eventually sell it, or it would run on autopilot. Now it's building a business that is saleable and scalable. So that's the end result.
Excellent. So what do you use for email marketing?
The platform we use is Klaviyo. I've been happy with them. I've switched a couple of different times. I like their funnels, and we still have a lot to drill down. Still have a lot of tools in that toolbox to use.
Excellent. So what do you love the most about Klaviyo?
I like the automation. I like the reporting you have to understand. So the good about the reporting is it brings you to a 30-day window, just like Google Ads would. And that's a positive and a negative. So if a customer clicked on the ad and then purchased, or that email, and then made a purchase at any time within whatever window, and we might have it set for 2 weeks, I don't remember, it accredits it to that email. Sometimes that's other platforms, you could set it to credit it to, they have to purchase right away, because did that email actually work? So I think what I like about Klaviyo is the flexibility. I like the fact that you can really customize your own funnels and build in a lot of automation that I've seen with them that I haven't seen with others. So it's always running, it's always sending out emails to everything from cart abandonments to churn rates, to new products, to things of that nature on an automated basis.
How many emails do you send to one customer every month?
So I try to send 3 to 4 emails a week to most customers. Right. And we have a strong open rate. And I learned that. So I was fortunate enough to be able to sit down and speak to a very large scale $1 billion founder. And I asked him about his growth when I was just starting to try to ramp up. And we were, had a small ad campaign, and it was very expensive on Google. And he was very candid about the fact that their success was emails. And they would send an email out once a day. I've seen my competitors send out more than one a day, which I think is a little much. But, obviously they're sending it to me because I'm clicking. If I stopped clicking, I wouldn't get the follow-up email. So there's some interest there. They don't know I'm a competitor, so that's okay. So remember, if your open rate, let's say your open rate is 16, 20%, ours is, I'll tell you, ours is in the low 20s, is in the just under 20, or in the up to 25, 23. So it's a very strong open rate. So I know if I'm sending it out to 100,000 people, only 20,000 or so are even opening it and clicking on it. What happened to the other 75? I can send them another email, and then another group will open it. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And what this person told me was, don't be afraid to send an email, even if you don't have a lot of stock. Let's say you only have a few left. Say you only have a few left, because the customer will click on it and say, okay, it's not available in my size, but what is? And at least it's causing engagement. And you can take those metrics and you can look at it and say, okay, somebody somebody's made a purchase in Q1, how often do they come back? So are they going to purchase again? And you can drill down the numbers and say that I know that a shopper will buy at least 2 quarters a year on the minimum. So, or if somebody in this category will also shop in this category, in a different category. So you can, if you understand those numbers, and you can keep sending emails. I don't think that's necessarily a problem.
Excellent. Wonderful. That's a great tip, Peter. Really appreciate you giving it away. So you have an email base of 100,000 people?
Almost. Mm-hmm.
So are you sending the same email campaign to all the 100,000 people, or the email is personalized and being sent to all 100,000 people?
Both. So we're getting better and better. I will tell you that what we do is, if you're opening, we're sending it to people that are habitual openers. They're always getting most emails because our products all relate to each other. If you're buying one category, it's very good chance that you're buying another, and that's where we struggle. If I had a broad business and I could really segment it, then I would. Sometimes if it's, let's say, a clothing special, I might just send it to everybody that's bought clothing. So we certainly do that, but we'll hit the frequent openers, and we'll have different lists, and we really try to drill down and segment our lists. And then we might do different for churn rates or people that have not opened an email in 3 months. And then sometimes I'll throw one of those lists into the larger basket, because if somebody didn't open up an email in 6 months, it doesn't mean they won't open up this one. And then I can get them back into the funnel again. And I don't necessarily have to give anything away. It just means maybe they weren't interested, or they didn't see it with spam filters. Or it's seasonal. You have to understand that. If we're selling jackets, and maybe they're not interested in anything else. So everybody during that season, I want to make sure we at least touch them once.
How many SKUs do you have?
Interesting. So we have our Google feed is about, it's down to about 9,000 products. We have about 2,000 different products, but with variations. So, but we probably have, we have about 12 or 13 in total, but we don't advertise all of them.
12, 13,000.
As far as a SKU level variation, yes. And that means size, color options, etc.
So what tool do you use on BigCommerce which helps you with analytics of all these products? Do you do product analysis also, or do you only do customer analytics?
No, we do a lot more product analysis than I do customer analysis, because products.
What tool do you use for product analysis?
Well, I bring in the data from Google. I bring in the data from BigCommerce, as well, as far as the main thing I look at is the conversion rate on each individual product page, which is much different than the analytics that you'll get from Google, which is on a variation level, a variance level. So, and I was actually just doing that last night. We were reviewing low, high click, low conversion pages to see if there's a problem with them, if we have to recalibrate, redo, reprice.
Excellent. Wonderful. So if you have to give an advice to somebody who wants to start a e-commerce business now, what would be your top 2 advices?
Go to medical school. So if you want to start, so the biggest thing is really hone in on what you want to do. Number one. So obviously, if they want to start a business, hopefully they already know what they want to do. So if they pick something just because they want to, it's a commodity, they want to sell coffee, could they really be excellent in coffee? What's their reason for being there? So I think And everybody tells you that. Decide very quickly if it's going to be a commodity-based business or if it's going to be a specialty-based business. But what I would suggest is don't take any of your I would suggest two things. Don't take any of your first decisions very lightly. For instance, your platform. Pick one, but understand that you're going to be living with them forever, or you should be. So I've talked people out of doing startup platforms because it worked from their POS company, had a platform, and it got them into business easily. I think that's a terrible idea because then you're married to that platform or that POS company forever, and that never happens. So those decisions you should put a lot more thought into. Then I think that the second is just get started. If you wait for everything to be perfect and for you to have all the answers, you'll never go anywhere. Get it. There's actually a book that talks about that, but get it good enough. Because you don't know what you don't know yet. And when you get into something and you think that you have to have all the answers because the direction of your business is going to go in one way, and it winds up going in a completely different way, and maybe the category like donuts for, if you know the Dunkin' Donuts story, if anybody doesn't, you should read up on it. It's a great story. So a small, low selling item that was high margin, that didn't take up a lot of bandwidth, was able to branch off and become a national or global chain. So you don't know what direction you're going to go in. So don't beat yourself up too much until you start taking a few first steps.
Absolutely, that's what they say. They say either you can think of like one day or day one. It's your choice. What choice you.
Right. You're going to make mistakes, and I love making mistakes, and I make them all the time, and I take a lot of risks, and that's all you can do.
So what mistake did you make when this pandemic hit us last year?
What mistake?
Which you think perhaps I could have done it differently. I could have reacted differently.
We did very well. So I can't say that because we're in the emergency supply business. We had a couple of down months. We're essential. So our warehouse was able to stay open because we sell emergency supplies and food and PPE. So I think that the mistake I could have made was stopping advertising. I reduced our spend because our cost per click doubled and it got very expensive. And I learned this in the brick and mortars that too many people stop advertising as one of the first things they do to cut their budget. And that I think is a critical mistake because you either lose your place in the market when people do come back. And then now you're starting from scratch. The other thing is my competitors might be cutting back on their advertising. So that's when I have to double down. And I think that's important.
Interesting. What do you do personally to become a better version of yourself?
I go on short sabbaticals. I consider myself a former athlete. I guess I do long distance cycling. I used to do long distance triathlons. I hike. I get outdoors as much as possible, and I get away from my business. A friend of mine once told me long ago, he said, part of my work week is always spent not working so I can think. And it's amazing on what you can do when you just detach from the day to day, and you need that time to just sit and think and ponder, and all of a sudden things become a lot more clear. And I find myself working too much inefficiently. So as I'm getting older and a little wiser, I'm learning that just working to work is not a good thing. I'd rather work less and more efficient and think more.
Absolutely. Do you read?
Yes, not as much as I'd like to.
Okay. And this book you said, Get It Good Enough. This is by which author?
I don't know that that's the right title. It
Okay.
was, I couldn't remember. It's something that I've read over the years. I just constantly read business books, and that was my interest. And I was a big fan of Gladwell and statistics. So, that was, I went down that path for a little while. So, now I'm reading more personalized books and non-business books.
Mhm. Excellent. Wonderful. Great. I think we have gotten some great information from you, Peter. Really, really appreciate you coming over this morning. We really thank you, and we're going to be posting this on different channels, and we'll tag you as well. Thank you so much for coming over. I will now stop the recording.